Folks, I'm Billy Pennell. Thanks for joining me for another of my favourite musical moments. Today I want to talk to you about an extraordinary English singer. His name's Chris Farlowe. He was born in 1940 and he's still going as strong as ever. He was born in London, England as John Dayton, and during the month of his birth, October of 1940, German planes were dropping bombs on London during the Blitz of World War II. His mum sang at local pubs for her neighbours. She played piano and she sang, and she favoured songs by artists of the day like Doris Day. Doris Day was her favourite. And then at about age 5 or 6, young John starts to join in and starts singing too. And he's got this mature voice. It's a child singing like a man. And people said to Mrs. Dayton, "Where did your son learn to sing like that?" And she said, "I don't know. All of a sudden he just started to do what I was doing and just sang with me." And so, of course, there's a wonderful musical connection between our son and mother. And Mrs. Dayton turns her young son onto a lot of girl singers that she loves. Ella Fitzgerald, Sarah Vaughan, Nita O'Day, Jerry Southern, and a girl called Chris Connor, who was one that young John really liked. And in fact, when he chose a more show-busy sort of name to pursue a career, this is now he's in his mid to late teens, he becomes Chris after Chris Connor, and Farlowe after Tal Farlowe, who was a great jazz guitar player. At 13, he forms a group after learning how to play guitar well enough, and they're called the John Henry Skiffle Group. And they get a loyal following in London by playing skiffle music. In 1956, he sees the movie Rock Around the Clock with Bill Haley, and he's infatuated now by rock and roll, the early Elvis, the Sun Sessions music he likes. He likes Carl Perkins, he likes Jerry Lee Lewis, and he particularly loves the music of Little Richard. At about the same time, he discovered rhythm and blues music. Ray Charles was a big favourite, and he decided to put together an R&B band with him doing the singing, with a mate, Albert Lee, who became one of England's great guitar players, a keyboard player called Dave Greenslade, who would later play with a band called Colosseum that Chris Farlowe would join as lead singer, and a famous drummer called Carl Palmer, who was part of Emerson, Lake and Palmer at one time. So they're all part of Chris's band, the Thunderbirds. They're so good at what they do, and they play at a venue called the Flamingo Club in London, and the word gets around. There's this great band fronted by one of the great singers, Chris Farlowe. And at the time, young men are coming into their own as songwriters, as band members. One was Mick Jagger, and so he's hanging around like a lot of musicians did to the club, the Flamingo Club. And he's raving to his mates about this great band with this great singer. And they get to know each other because they all live probably in close proximity. And Jimmy Page is often also in the audience watching these musicians do their thing. And so in a conversation one day with Mick Jagger and Chris Farlowe, the Rolling Stones have released some singles. They haven't hit the big time yet. And Mick says, "Look, we've written a song, we've recorded it, but I reckon it's perfect for you. It's a song called Out of Time. So I'll play you a bit on the guitar." So they're around Mick's flat. So he's playing this song for Chris Farlowe on Mick's acoustic guitar. And he said, "Look, I've got an idea for the production of the song," he says to Chris. "We're going to have a string orchestra on it. It's going to it's pretty lush." And Chris said to himself, "Oh, not going to be very comfortable, I'm sure, with a song that's got that sort of treatment." So anyhow, he maybe because he didn't want to let Mick down, they go to the studio and they record. This is 1966 now. They recorded Out of Time, which becomes a #1 hit in the UK and in other parts of the world. And while all this is going on, they're pulling huge crowds, and the word is out more than ever about this great band that are playing right in the centre of London in the Flamingo Club. And at the time, American blues musicians weren't that well known, or they were quite obscure actually in England. So some would come across to tour, and lots of times they would open for established bands like Chris Farlowe's Thunderbirds. So in the Flamingo Club, Chris was welcoming if anyone had come up and just have a jam with them. So an African American man came up to him once and he said, "Oh, would you mind if I sit in with you?" And Chris said, "No, of course not. What instrument do you play?" He said, "Oh, I play the guitar." "Oh, and what's your name?" "Johnny Guitar Watson." So one of the great blues guitar players of all time got up and jammed with Chris Farlowe and the Thunderbirds. Then another time, another musician came in who was also virtually unknown, slightly more known maybe to blues aficionados. It's John Lee Hooker. And so they really like John Lee Hooker, and they like his music, of course, and they chat with him, and he asked them if he could go and do a short tour with them. So they take John Lee Hooker on a brief tour of London, in that area of England anyhow. So off they go, and then during the tour, Chris notices that after the show, when there's autograph hunters around, and they're there because they love the band, and so Chris is happy to sign autographs, but he notices that John Lee Hooker doesn't feel comfortable at all signing autographs. And so just in sitting together with the great man at one time, Albert Lee and Chris said, we noticed that you don't like signing autographs. And John Lee Hooker said, "Look, I haven't spoken about this to many people before, but I can't write and I can't read." Now, according to Chris Farlowe, this is a true story, and I believe him. And so Chris suggests to John Lee Hooker, "Look, if somebody asks for an autograph, just write your initials, JLH, and I'm sure that will satisfy the fans." So that's what he did. And another night at the Flamingo, there's another batch of African American singers, and somebody said to Chris, "Oh, there's a bloke outside. He's sitting right down the front, and it's Otis Redding. He's obviously enjoying your music." And Chris Farlowe said, "No, there's 100 African American men out there because American troops had a base in London where some of those would come in to watch." He said, "No, I'm sure you're wrong." So anyhow, a couple of minutes later, there's a knock on the door, and it's Otis Redding. And he said to Chris Farlowe, "You are a great singer, and I want to ask you if you would come on a TV show with me. I've been asked tomorrow night to do a show called Ready, Steady, Go, which was one of the most watched music shows in the whole of the UK at the time. I would love it if you could come on to that show and be my guest. I've asked you and I've asked Eric Burden if you would both come in and do a set with me on Ready, Steady, Go." And you'll find that on YouTube. It was a performance that will be unforgettable for everybody involved. So while that's going on, somehow or other, a single got released, not on the same label that Out of Time was on. And it was a version of Stormy Monday Blues, the T-Bone Walker song, sung by Chris Farlowe, but under the pseudonym of Little Joe Cook. So that gets played on radio, on BBC Radio, and the phones run high. We need to have Little Joe Cook come into the studio and sing this song live. And Chris's people are going to say, "Well, actually, there's no Little Joe Cook. He doesn't exist. It's really Chris Farlowe." And nobody would believe them. So for whatever reason that happened, he wasn't able to take Chris full advantage of the fact that he was a extraordinary version of this great song that nobody would get to hear much before. What I'd like to do for you now is to play a version of that particular song that was recorded this year, which is 2025, and figuring that Chris Farlowe was born in 1940, that would make him 85 years of age. Backed by a guitar player called Eddie Wheeler, who is a great mate of Chris's and has played lots of shows with him, who was also in a band for many years called Vanity Fair. Here's Chris Farlowe sounding as great as he ever has, Stormy Monday Blues.
Run down like that. I got laid off my job. They took my car away. They took my TV too, 'cause I could not pay. Ain't got no money, baby. It's all been spent. And I can't go home no more. I owe so much rent. It's all gone. Yes, it's all gone. It's all gone. Yeah, yeah. My woman's left me. She's gone with my best friend. I'm having so much hard-looking troubles. I wonder where it's gonna end. I've got holes in my shoes and my clothes are all torn. But I'm trying to tell my baby everything's gone wrong. I'm sitting here crying the blues. Yeah, Stormy Monday blues. There's a bit of blues there. Yeah. Well, I'm feeling so sad, I could lay right down and die. I went to jump in the river, but the river ain't run dry. Oh, I know, pretty baby, I got lots of things to do. Oh yeah. Well, I know it's all right. I got the Stormy Monday blues. Stormy Monday blues.
With Eddie Wheeler on guitar, that was Chris Farlowe, and a version of Stormy Monday Blues recorded this year in 2025. He was held in such high esteem, as I mentioned throughout this chat together. Jimmy Page had him add vocals to Jimmy's second solo album, and he also invited Chris to sing some songs on the soundtrack to Death Wish 2. For some years, Chris was part of a band that was slightly different to anything he'd done before, and it was a progressive blues, jazz, rock band called Coliseum that had himself on lead vocals, his old mate Dave Greenslade from the Thunderbirds on keyboards, Dave Clemson, a wonderful guitar player who played in Humble Pie with Steve Marriott for a little bit, and one of the great English drummers of all time, in John Heisman, who was a part of the John Mayall band at one time and then went on to form Coliseum. And there's a great live album called Coliseum Live that if you can find it anywhere, it might be online or if record shops still exist in your neck of the woods, maybe you can check it out. And one more thing, when Chris was, it must have been in the US, I think, and again, his fame had travelled far and wide, and he was in the company of some blues musicians, and one of them was introduced to him, and he was introduced to him as Chris Farlowe, and this gentleman said, "Oh, there must be two Chris Farlowes." Chris said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, there's you who I met today, and there's another Chris Farlowe. I heard him sing a T-Bone Walker song, but it's not you, because he's black." So that's the sort of sound that Chris Farlowe has, and to this day, doesn't sound all that much different, and he still sings the same songs in the same key as he did all those years ago when he first recorded. And I'd like to go out now with another song recorded this year, 2025, again with Eddie Wheeler on guitar. And this is a song that had a huge impact on him early in his career. It's one written by the Rolling Stones, and one that Mick Jagger thought would be suitable for Chris to record, which he did. It went to number one. So from all your fans all around the world, we wish Chris Farlowe the best of health and the best of luck. And if you're talking to him and you happen to watch this, let him know how much he's appreciated in Melbourne, Australia.
You don't know what's going on. You've been away for far too long. You can't come back, think you are still mine. You're out of touch, my baby, my poor old-fashioned baby. Baby, 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 you're out of time. All together now. Baby, 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 you're out of time. Baby, 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 you're out of time. Yes, you are, live there. Yes, you are. Oh, I know you are. Baby, 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 you're out of time. You thought you were a clever girl, or living in your South Sea world. You can't come back, be the first in line. You are obsolete to my baby, my poor old-fashioned baby. Baby, 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 you're out of time. Oh, baby, 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 you're out of time. Baby, 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 you're out of time. Yes, you are, left out. Yes, you are. Oh, I know you're left out without a doubt, baby. Baby, 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 you're out of time. Do that thing. Baby, 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 you're out of time. Yeah. Baby, 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 you're out of time. Yes, you are left out. Yes, you are. Oh, I know without a doubt. Baby, 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 you're out of time. One more time. Baby, 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 you're out of time. Baby, 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 you're out of time. Yes, you are left out. Yes, you are. Oh, I know